Well, the time has come to do a review on the motor. So I'm gonna go up here in a minute, just talk about the motor itself, the frame and the harness and all that, the things that we've run into that we've not liked, how we've overcome them, and the things that are good. The grass is wet right now. I might sit around wait on the sun to poke up and kind of dry it out, because I hate wet wings with no wind. But we'll be up in the air here pretty soon, hopefully.
Okay, we've been climbing for a little while. Holy crap! Well, I'm in the club with you now, Bo. Golly!
Holy crap!
Anyways, we're up here pretty high, 1500, been climbing for a minute. My motor's officially off as of just now. And let's start talking. Let's start talking about the engine first off. The Top 80, it's the engine we've been flying. And to start this off, I guess I should say, this is the only motor, the only paramotor, the only rig, the only wing I've ever flown. So, start off with that. The Top 80, it's a small engine, burns very little fuel, that's a positive. I burn about 2 liters an hour, probably tops. I'm underloaded on this wing, and I'm only 155 pounds, so it burns very little fuel. The thing about this paramotor is it turns 140 centimeter prop, so it's got a larger reduction. It's 17 to 75, which I think comes out to like 4.17 to 1. I don't know. But it turns 140 centimeter prop, which is a big prop for a little Top 80, little 80cc engine. But that's what I wanted. It's quieter, and it puts out more thrust. I'll put a link to a video in the description of this one. It'll take you to a thrust test of a bunch of different paramotors, all 80cc, between the Atom 80 and the Top 80. And this motor that I'm flying now, which is the Miniplane rigid, it put out the most thrust of any of them, like 15 pounds more thrust than any of them. So that's a plus. We have a little bit more power. The motor is big, but it's the only thing I've ever flown. So if you look at Tucker's video where he compares his Fly Products Rider to his Parajet, either one, but you can see the size difference. This is the bigger motor. But it's not that bad. It doesn't get in the way. It sucks to carry through like doorways and stuff. But as far as flying it never bothers you. The things about the motor, the problems we've had with the motor, my motor has run without a hiccup. It's always run good. I'm trusting it right now. I'm right over my LZ, but this thing will start up on the first tug right now. It's always run good. I've got 37.7 hours on it. Been flying it for a year, but it's always run good. The only problem I have had with this motor is at 8 hours on the motor, my kill switch wire broke internally, and so I had to run a new kill switch wire to be able to shut my motor off. The funny thing about that is, my brother, who flies the exact same motor as me, had the exact same thing happen at the exact same time. Right at 8 hours, his kill switch wire broke. So I've had to do the same thing to both of ours. So, being as how we bought these motors like 3 months apart, I would probably say if you buy one, expect to be changing your kill switch wire at about 8 hours. It's not that big of a headache. You just got to do a little bit of soldering. Now moving on to my brother's motor. Because we fly the exact same motor, the Miniplane rigid, 150 centimeter frame, with the Top 80 engine, same reduction, same prop, everything's the same. The only thing different is when he bought his, it came with a Tillotson carburetor versus my Walbro. Not a fan of the Tillotson. It ran good for the first 10 hours. The only thing different, really functionality-wise, is it had a different priming system, and the choke was reversed. So pretty much, down is choke on my motor, up is open. And on my brother's motor, it was backwards. So we had a heck of a time getting it started because we were running it choke the whole time. I actually liked the priming system a little bit better. It had a bubble and a valve on the carburetor versus I just got like a regular chainsaw priming system. But at 10 hours, he had a hiccup, and his motor stuttered on him when he was in a low turn and he hit the ground. Nothing damaged. Started looking into what the cause was and trying to figure out, why did his motor run him into the ground? Couldn't figure it out. There was definitely something wrong with it, but I couldn't figure it out. So we go flying again, and he's just being careful, a little bit gun shy, and which ain't a bad thing. Motor sputters on him again, low to the ground between trees, and he manages to keep it going and climb back out of there. No problems that time, but after that we're like, something's got to change here because this ain't right. All right, we're gonna do a Tucker Gott style teleport back up to some altitude. I had to start my motor here. And now we can do a climb rate test. So here we go. Well, we're up here, so I'd say we got pretty good climb rate going on. I'm just going to have to hold it at cruise. You have to deal with the propeller noise because I lost that altitude too fast for the amount of stuff I have to talk about. I was talking about my brother's carburetor. Bottom line is, there's a problem in the Tillotson, at least our particular carburetor, that between the low jet and the high jet transition, if you creaked through the transition, it didn't like it. If you ran up through it, it was fine. What sucked is cruise throttle is right there, which is where you're always playing with your throttle, trying to fine-tune it. Well, it didn't like that, so we put a Walbro on it, and we had to reroute his choke, reroute his fuel line. So we put a Walbro carburetor to match mine on his motor, and it has run without a hiccup for 12 hours now. But so that's the problem we had. I didn't care for the Tillotson. We got planes everywhere today. Other than that, that's the only problems we have had with these motors, is the kill switch wire and then the Tillotson carburetor problem. This little guy right there. Alright, on to the frame. I've already mentioned it's a bigger frame to turn a bigger propeller, which I also mentioned that I like. It's called the rigid because the typical Miniplane standard size is a flexible cage. I didn't like that. They do it so you won't break it if you're a beginner, but what happens is you end up breaking your prop, or the cage will get stuck into the prop, all kinds of stuff. I didn't want that. I wanted a solid metal tube. So that's what I got, and I'm happy that I got it. The Miniplane is known for being lightweight. That's kind of what its design's all about. And it is pretty light. This whole thing together, I'd say, even with half a tank of fuel, it's not more than 55 pounds. It's not that heavy. But I'm even going to say it is surprisingly durable. It's surprisingly strong. So I've already played the clip of my brother crashing into the ground, and he admittedly said, "Man, I just tucked my knees to my chest and let the motor take all the impact." So, nothing scratched, nothing dented, nothing. Not a problem in the world. So, I had one thing myself where I landed with a tailwind, and then I didn't know I had a tailwind. I turned around to kite the wing, it overshot me, and I fell on my butt. My full weight of my body. I was running backwards, tripped, landed on my butt. I thought, I just broke something. Not a scratch, nothing. So, it's strong for what it is. If you can have impacts that cause no damage, you're fine, because nothing's going to withstand a crash. And with all these planes flying around, it's freaking hazy. You got to have a mile visibility. Is that Class G? You have to have a mile visibility? But we're just over that. Like, I might can see 2 miles. So it's pretty hazy up here. Continuing on with the frame. The swing arms. They're really nice. You know, all swing arms are different. These are like curve shaped, but they're very comfortable. If you can see, I can't really maneuver this foot camera very good, but you can see they don't get in the way of my elbows at all. Like they're right underneath my armpits, and you can rest your hands up here like this. This is pretty much my cruising state right here. Just resting your hands on these things. I have nothing bad to say about the frame, the Miniplane rigid frame. I have nothing bad to say about it. It was my first frame. I took my first flight on it. I've got no complaints about it. I don't mind the extra size. I prefer the extra size because it's a benefit. I like it. It's strong. It's lightweight. So the next thing, I guess, we'll be moving forward to the harness. Harness, I've got some complaints about. It is a Miniplane harness, and I will say it's a large harness. As I was taking it apart, I was reading the tag, and the tag said large. I didn't get the option that I remember of picking a medium. There's another plane just flew right over top of me. I can't help it. I'm slow. I'm at their mercy right now. It's a large harness. I'm 6 foot tall, but I'm only 155 pounds. I might could have gone with a medium if there is such a thing. I don't know why there would be a large if it's not a medium. But I've got some complaints about the harness. It's very comfortable. It's very comfortable to ride in. The padding is not lacking. Comfort, very nice. Even from the factory. The harness I'm flying right now is not factory. I've made some adjustments we'll get into. But it was always comfortable. In flight, it was always comfortable. Even now, it is very comfortable sitting here. You could probably get comfortable-er, but I have had to consciously tell myself, don't fall asleep. You cannot fall asleep right now. So I would say you probably don't want it any more comfortable than it is. As far as pockets, you've got a side pocket on each side. And I remember Tucker was talking about his Maverick and how the zippers are vertical and it's kind of aggravating. You almost drop stuff. These pockets are horizontal. The zippers are horizontal. So it's like a top-in pocket. It's very easy to use. I pull my phone out right now if I wanted. I think I've got some tools and some miscellaneous parts in my left pocket. Don't really access it much because it's my throttle hand. It's got an underseat pocket, like for carrying your wean bag or something. I use it to store my radio recorder. As far as what the harness is lacking, I can't name anything. It's the Miniplane is kind of minimalist, but I got no problems with it. The problems that I do have with the harness is the seat. The seat is very comfortable in flight because it reclines you. It kind of cups your butt, scoops you. It's very comfortable. But the problem with that is it does not like to fold up after it's been deployed, which isn't a problem on takeoff because you manually, put it behind your back. But after you get into your seat, when you come into land, because of the angle that the seat board's at, like if this is your seat here, the back of your seat board was at this angle. And so it wouldn't want to fold up behind you. On touch and goes, on landings, foot drags, sinking plane right out here, it wouldn't fold up behind you, and it was very aggravating. It was very hard to get a landing right. I don't know if you can see the green zip ties right here. I broke my netting because of a landing problem. I landed in wet grass, and my seat was giving me problems because it wouldn't fold behind me, so basically I'm landing with my legs out in front of me. And I reached back and hooked it with my pinky and tore my netting. But it was very uncomfortable. I knew something wasn't right with it. So what I ended up doing to fix it, I'll get to you in a second because my thumb's getting tired from holding this button down. So after some experimenting with it, I've tried a bunch of things that didn't work because I didn't quite understand what the problem was exactly. I ended up building a new seat board, and I made it 2 inches shorter front to back. I was hoping that would help it keep from catching. But I had some time on my hands between flights, and I ended up doing some more to it other than that before I took it up to test it. So I'll show you when I get on the ground. It'd be hard to show you up here. But I sewed some straps on the back of my harness so that when I cinch them, it essentially shortens my harness from my shoulders to my butt. It shortens the back of the harness. So it makes the seat, instead of being like this, it shortens the back of it so that it's more a 90-degree angle. And now, when I jump out, yeah, you couldn't see that. When I jump out now, my seat folds up just like it's supposed to. So it has completely fixed it. I'm very, very happy with the result of that experiment.
You can see the stitching there and the stitching there. And this is how much fabric I basically removed from the equation. I've got this strap on the back that I have cinched down that basically pulls it together and shortens my seat top to bottom. That causes my seat board to be more ready to slide up rather than to get caught at a 90 degree. So now it works just beautifully.
Other problems I've got, gripes I've got about the harness. There are some straps here. See that strap that I'm holding in my hand? There are some straps on this harness that are very long. And when I first started flying this thing, I felt something whacking my elbow. I'm like, what in the world is that? And I look, and this thing's going all the way through my netting towards my propeller. It's like 2.5 feet long. I'm like, what the crap? So I grabbed it and I tied a knot in it or something. But now I've got them Velcroed, tied off. But they're very long, and I don't know what their purpose even is. They just strap. So continuing on, let's move on to the throttle. We've got our tachometer mounted on our throttle. And as far as being particular about throttles, it's just a factory throttle. But we made some modifications to it. So make sure I stay clear of this helipad. I like to have my fingers free for my brake. I see some people that fly with their pinky and their brake toggle. Couldn't do it. So this throttle originally had a very long lever, and it got like in the way of your middle finger and your pointer finger. So my dad basically redesigned and 3D printed a new lever. That's sweet. That's a modification. Also, when we're talking about throttles, my throttle was very stiff. And I didn't know it because I'd never flown anything else. And I really didn't realize it until my brothers came in, and his was so much slicker. I thought, man, I love that. So I got to looking, and my throttle on my carburetor had double return springs. So I threw one of them suckers in the trash. And now it's very light, very easy to manipulate accurately. It's nice. On the J-bars, the swing arms, the hang point adjustment is a variable adjustment, so it's like a clamp. So you put it anywhere you want, which is not nice as far as resetability for different pilots, different weights. You would just have to put a mark on the swing arm itself somehow.
So that's what I meant by the constantly adjustable, infinitely adjustable hang points. You just loosen this clamp, slide it, tighten it back up.
So I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to about the motor. So basically, the pros of the Miniplane Top 80 Rigid 150. It's got a lot of power. It's got 115 pounds of thrust. Nice. The prop's very quiet, relatively. It sounds really cool from the ground. The motor burns very little gas. Still puts out 115 pounds of thrust. You have to be prepared to work on your motor even new. Even at 10 hours, you're going to have to be ready to do some things. Whether it be a carburetor swap or a kill switch wire replacement. You got to be prepared. You probably won't get any warranty assistance as far as all that goes. Unless you have like a major catastrophic failure. So be prepared to work on your motor. The frame, I got no complaints about. The frame's golden. I love it. I've got the black one, but if you've watched any of my videos, my brother's is red. It's actually a metallic red, and it's very pretty. It glistens in the sunlight. It's very pretty. It's like a car body paint. There you go. The harness. If you just want to fly, hey, it works great. If you want to do touch and goes, if you want to fly like a professional, and you want to feel like you know what you're doing and look like you know what you're doing, you have to work on your seat. Or maybe order a medium harness. I don't know. But if you get the large harness, I can guarantee you your seat will not fold up properly like it's supposed to. So, and the shame is I didn't test my shorter seat board to see if that fixed it. I went straight ahead and that sun's probably like, whoa. That must have been my wake. Thing buttery smooth until that happened. But the seat board, it's not good. When you're a beginner like me, you don't know what to look for in terms of, there's a bunch of stuff going on this harness that's not familiar. But make sure you don't have any long straps that are going to get sucked into your propeller. Make sure all your straps are stowed, or cut them off. I don't know what they're even there for. Overall, I am not upset with this thing at all in general. When you tally up the points, it comes out positive as far as I'm concerned. This is the seat that has carried me over the clouds. This is the seat that I was sitting in when I went through the fog, when I buzzed the towers, when I had planes fly past me, when I chased Bo up over top of the clouds. So I can't complain about it. I'm happy with it. I'd buy it again. I plan on flying this motor until it falls apart. My biggest concern is not the motor, it's not the carburetor replacement, it's not the kill switch wire replacement. My biggest concern was the seat. That was the most aggravating thing I've had to deal with on this, and now it is fixed. So now that it's behind me, I've got nothing to say about it. It was aggravating for a long time. It took me a year to get it fixed, but it's fixed now, and I'm very happy with it. My radio's dying, so we'll probably meet up again on the ground and do some more talking up close about everything. My motor is off. I am making my way to land.
Simulated motor out, folks. Will I land in a treetop? Will I crash into a fence? Will I land on my butt and break a propeller? Or will I simply land like I always do? I'm gonna find out. Well, there might be some thermals down low, so let's see how we end up dealing with it. Not bad. Not bad, I'd say. Not bad. I'd say I know how to spot land, if I ever had to. A little bit nervous that time, because there was some thermals happening down low. But I put it right down, nice and smooth. So now I can officially criticize and condemn the people that have a motor out over a golf course and crash into a tree or land on their butt or something. All right, back on the ground now. Trying to think if there's anything that I forgot to talk about. Yeah, that's pretty much covers it all. We've had a good amount of problems with it, but like I say, it's worth it to me. Saved $2,000. I mean, it was only $6,000 compared to $8 or $9 you're gonna have to spend for anything else. So I'm happy with it. I haven't put $2,000 worth of work into it. I know that much.